Welcome to the Allies in Service Interview Preparation Training. This training will provide you with the essentials for a successful civilian job interview. Many military members have never interviewed for a civilian job. This is why it is essential that you brush up on your civilian interview etiquette, which includes the following. Attire is usually a blue, black, or dark gray business suit with jacket. No faddish attire, hairstyles, or accessories should be worn during the interview. Remember to greet everyone with a smile and handshakes that are firm yet professional in manner. And last but not least, do not overdo the no sir, yes ma'ams during the interview. There are many types of interviews, and you may encounter several types while interviewing for the same job. You should be prepared for each type of interview, which includes the telephone interview by making sure you dress for the interview, use a landline when possible, and establish a callback process if the call is dropped during the interview. One-on-one interviews are the most common type of interview, and they usually are done face-to-face. The panel-style interview consists of 2 or more interviewers, so please remember to make all attendees feel equally as important. Video interviews are becoming more popular, and they require you to record your response to a set of questions. The Skype interview allows you to have face-to-face interaction regardless of where you are in the world. Some interviewers are using practicums in order to see you in action. You can treat this as a very brief internship. Other employers may ask for a small presentation to see how well you present their information to others. Regardless of the type of interview, you should use the STAR method to make sure you answer questions thoroughly in 30 seconds to 2 minutes while identifying your steps to success. You should always start with the situation. The situation are the circumstances and environment that you had to work with in order to accomplish your task. The task is what you needed to successfully accomplish while in that situation. The action are the action steps that you use to accomplish the task at hand, and finally, your results. Talk about your successful results and avoid any examples that are less than stellar. You should utilize the STAR method to develop good stories that will address each of the following. Conflict, how you have successfully handled a conflict. Integrity, how you work ethically and with integrity. Time management, how you manage your time to meet deadlines. Leadership, how you influence others to achieve success. Diversity, how you have successfully worked with those who are different than you. And failure, how you have successfully learned from your bad decisions. There are 4 parts to the average interview: the opening, the interviewer questions, the interviewee questions, as well as the closing. You should know each parts of the interview as well as how to get the most out of each section of the interview. Now let's go more in depth with each part of the interview. Your opening should be completed in 2 minutes or less and is usually a response to the question, "Tell me about yourself." They want to know who you are, what you've done, and what you hope to do with them from an education, experience, and skills standpoint. Next are the interviewer questions. They can be technical, job-specific questions, situational, hypothetical questions, or behavioral questions based on your previous experiences. Regardless of the type of question, remember to use the STAR method, and also remember to follow negative statements with positive ones, such as, if there's something you can't do, follow it up with something that you can do. After the employer has asked their questions, they will usually ask if you have questions for them. This is the time to have 3 to 5 solid and prepared questions. They should fall into one of 3 areas. Job specific. For example, how is success defined? A connection to the employer question. For example, what has made them successful in doing the job that they do with the company? And last but not least, a coverall question to address any uncovered areas. Do you have any reservations that I can address at this time? Now that you've asked your questions, it's time to close the deal. You do this by first showing appreciation. You want to thank them for their time and consideration. This is followed by a summary. You want to summarize your strengths discussed during the interview. And last but not least, you want to ask for the job. You do this by showing your interest and discussing next steps. Here's an important note. Never bring up money until they do, but you always want to be prepared to discuss money when they bring it up. There are many questions that are illegal for employers to ask. However, that does not mean that they will not ask them. Some employers ask these questions intentionally, and others are unaware that these questions are illegal. With that in mind, we do not recommend that you take a hard stance by telling the employer, those questions are illegal. You cannot ask me that. Instead, we recommend you take a more diplomatic approach by asking the employer how the response to that question will impact their ability to be hired. Some of the illegal areas that employers ask questions are your military branch or type of discharge, the name of your next of kin, your age or birthplace, questions about religion, politics, or how you've acquired a second language are all illegal. Your marital status, dependents, lineage, or your desire to have children. Your child care options, if you've ever been arrested or made a workers' comp claim, as well as if you only prefer to work with specific groups such as gender, race, religions, etc. All of these questions are illegal and should be avoided when at all possible. The follow-up is a part of the interview process that is often overlooked. You want to start by writing down the questions they ask you immediately after the interview is over. If you wait too long, you may forget what they asked. You want to mail a thank you card from the same zip code as the interview location. If you do this properly, the post office will process that mail and it will arrive on the interviewer's desk the following day. You want to proof and send a thank you email within 24 hours of your interview. You want to perform a follow-up check-in call in 2 to 3 days after the interview unless they tell you otherwise. You want to let your references know to expect a call and exactly what they should say. You want to make sure that you let allies in service know how the interview went and any additional details that you may think are unimportant but may be very important to the interview process. And last but not least, regardless of how well the interview went, you should keep looking until the offer letter is signed. Here are some additional tips that you may find helpful during the interview. You want to make sure that you take notes. You want to make a great first impression. We've found that the first impression usually makes or breaks the interview process. You want to read their body language and definitely watch yours. You want to check in during the interview to make sure you're answering the right question the right way. If you're uncertain, make sure that you double check with them before you respond to a question. You want to make great eye contact. You want to use the restroom prior to the interview and make sure that you accept water if offered. You want to bring business cards and ask for theirs. And last but not least, you do not want to treat a civilian interview like a military promotion board, meaning pass or fail. It should feel more like a conversation. They should feel like they're being interviewed as well as you're being interviewed. This concludes our interview preparation process video. We ask that you contact us at information@alliesinservice.org or at 214-438-6358 with any questions or concerns about interviewing. We wish you nothing but the best as you go through the interview process. Thank you.